We created this form in our previous videos. Our form has a text box where user can write his name. It has another text box where user can write his password. It has radio buttons where user can select their gender. It has checkboxes for selecting their hobbies. It has drop-down menus for selecting their qualification. It has data list for selecting their country. It has text area to write their biodata. But there is no button to submit this form. We need a button where the user will click and his written data will be sent to this content.html file for processing. So let's understand how we can add buttons in our web pages. So after our text area, I'm gonna write 2 breaks for new lines. Then we will write the button tag. So button, it is a paired tag, so it will have opening and closing part. Save the file. You will see a button, but there is no text in the button. So in between the opening and closing button tag, I'm gonna write submit. Save the file. You can see now the button has the text submit. So in a form, if you have a button, by default, if any user clicks on that button, it will submit the form. We can create buttons using the input tag as well. So I'm gonna write here input. The type would be submit. If I save the file, you can see another button with the text submit. So this first button is the result of this input tag, and the second button is the result of this button tag. Let's say I want to change the text of the first button. So for that, I'm gonna write the value attribute, and I'm gonna write submit in capital letters. Submit. Save the file. You can see the first button's text is in capital letters, and in the button tag, by default, the type is set to submit. Save the file. The result will be same. But in case of the input tag, we can create submit buttons with images. So how will that work? Let's see. So I'm gonna write the input tag again, and the type would be image, and here it will accept an attribute which is src. Then I'm gonna give a path of an image. If I save the file, you can see there is a image. The height and width is too much, so I'm gonna reduce them. So width would be 20 pixel. Save the file. You can see there is an image. This is a button. You can see the cursor is now a hand cursor. If I click on the image, the form gets submitted. So basically the submit button and the image button is same. Both of them submits a form, and in this form you can give pretty much every attribute of the image tag. For this moment, I'm gonna delete the image button and the input button as well. Let's stick with the button tag. Save the file. We have one button. Let's fill up this form. Our username would be Adil. Password would be 1234. I know it is a terrible password, but let's stick with this for this moment. And the gender would be male. My hobbies are playing and singing. Then qualification, let's say BSc. Countries, Bangladesh. My biodata, let's say I'm gonna write I am Adil. Now if I submit the form, the browser asks me to save my password, so I'm not gonna save the password. Let me maximize the browser. You can see after submitting the form, we are navigated to the content page. So in the action attribute in our form, we gave the path of this content.html page. So we are navigated to that page. And if you observe carefully the URL, it is localhost 8080/content.html. Then it is a very long string. It is called a query string. So you can see it has a question mark. So from this question mark till the end, it is a query string. Now what is query string? Query string means a list of key value pairs. So after the query string, you can see a key which is username, then equals to sign, then Adil. So if you can recall that in our username text box, we write Adil. So why the key name is username? Because in the input field we give the name username. So the key is username, and while submitting the form, in the text box we write Adil. Then after this key value pair we have a ampersand sign. So this is used to separate two key value pairs. After this ampersand sign we have another key which is user password, and this key we gave to this input field. You can see the name user password, and while submitting the form we write the password which is 1234. Then we have another ampersand sign, then we have another key which is gender value, and while submitting the form we click on the radio button and selected male. So the value here is male. Then we have another ampersand sign, then we have user hobby which is this checkbox. So in the checkbox we selected two hobbies. So you can see user hobby equal playing, ampersand sign, then again user hobby equal singing. One user hobby equals to playing, another user hobby equals to singing. Then we selected from the drop down menu that our qualification is BSc. So the name here is user qual. You can see we have another key which is user qual, and the value is set to BSc. We have another key which is country, which we gave the name to our data list here, country. Then we selected the value Bangladesh. Then in the bio, which is the name of our text area, while submitting the form we write I am Adil. So you can see the value I plus M plus Adil. So this is how the form got submitted to the content page for processing. Now here you can see that the user details are visible in the address bar, and the password also. User wrote the password 123, but it is a sensitive information and should not be displayed in the URL box. We must hide this. So why is that? Why we are seeing the user entered values in the URL box? Because in our form the method is get. It is not secure for sending sensitive data. While we are sending some sensitive data, then we are gonna write the method post. Now if I save the file, go to our index file, and let's say I'm gonna submit this file again. Let me refresh this file and fill up again. Adil 1234. I know it's a terrible password. Qualification BSc, countries Bangladesh. I am Adil. Now let me click on the submit button. If I submit, you will see an error. This is because we are using an live server extension which is preview one server. This is causing this error. So I'm gonna close the live server or our Chrome browser, minimize the VS Code. Then I'll go to our first folder, and here I will right click on the index.html file and open with Google Chrome. And now I'm gonna fill up the form again. Adil 1234, singing, countries, I am Adil, then submit. You can see if I maximize the browser, there is no query string in the URL. So the password, username, and other informations are hidden from the URL box. So while submitting sensitive data, keep in mind that we should use the method post.